Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for returning to the channel. If that's the case, that means the world to me. And if you're new, well, welcome. My name is Catherine. I'm enchanted to meet you. I'm doing an all signs video around confessions, right? And I did Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. The video got pretty long already, so I'm deciding to do sections, right? So in this one we're doing Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. So I just wanted you to be aware that those are the three signs done on this video. You might have noticed by the title, of course, but in case you're wondering. So the theme is confessions, which is about, well, what is it, or what is it they're not telling you? So whether it's because they wish to not tell you, or because they're too shy, you know, there's a difference between just being reserved and hesitant, and there's and the fact of purposely like keeping something hidden. So either way, we're going to look at what that is. I just want to warn you, I've tempered the Kipper deck. I've removed a few cards that weren't relevant to the topic, and I needed to tell you just because out of integrity for and it's the only deck here that's been tempered, so I just wanted you to know that. So let's start Cancer and look at this for you. We're looking at a male female. So Kipper is specific, right? It has the card of the main female and the main male. So obviously we're looking at a love relationship, and if you're a woman, for instance, and you're not into women, then okay, I'm obviously allowing you, quote unquote, to maybe look at it as a main male. But otherwise, the point is to try to keep it specific. So either way, you'll know what to do now that I've explained that. I'm just going to pull, I'm going to keep pulling here to get more info before I speak. Doreen says, free yourself. So I'm going to get some tarot and get more clarity on that right away. Because this is the person's confessions, remember? So we're looking at this main female who wishes to free herself. So from you, or maybe not from you. That's what the tarot should help us identify, really. The Knight of Pentacles, that's really beautiful. I think it's not freeing themselves from you. The fact that the Knight is a slow mover tells me that it's a process that's ongoing for this person. So freeing themselves is actually liberating themselves and doing shadow work, healing, just becoming a better person, more balanced, more, you know, maybe even more knowledgeable, you know, like anything that would help them feel like they're free to be themselves in their true essence. And it's a unicorn on this card, right? So there's something really unique about this person. I think you probably appreciate them for their originality, for sure. You probably appreciate the fact that they're different, but also that they appear to be one of a kind for you, to you, because not just because they stand out in general, but because to you they stand out as well, right? So it's like double, like they are already a standout in general, but with you they stand out even more. And no matter what makes them stand out for you, that's for you, well, you know that, I don't. But it's probably also the same thing that has them caught up, because when someone is very original and unconventional and marginal, life is a little more difficult, right? Relationships, contacts, networking, socializing, all of that, connecting, all of that is more difficult, or it's fewer contacts, or the relationships are different, or can be seen as different and compared, right? And so this person probably has some kind of discomfort about being so different. And they might not be that drastically different either, right? They might not be like I don't know, punk rock activist, I'm just saying anything just to give you an idea of something that would really, I don't know, that you don't see every day, for instance. So they don't have to be so different. And yet there is something very recognizable and personal to them, unique to them. So that same thing that makes them like this, it's like having the, how do you say, the fault of the quality, like, for something that is supposed to be deemed like, oh, that's an advantage, it's a plus, it's a good thing, you should be happy, you should like, it should make you thrive, you should be able to, I don't know, it implies, maybe a lot of people misjudge originality and think that these people are always comfortable with it, and that they don't have a care in the world about what others think. But I don't think that that's always true. So especially for someone that's only partially original or different, that they're not such a big standout in life, it could be even more difficult to seize, right? The nuance is more difficult for them to identify, for them to even sort it out, to figure out, where are where are the like guidelines of, where is it that it fits? How do I make it fit? How do I adjust? How do I adapt? How do I, like interact with others? I'm sure it's not an easy thing. And so it probably creates a lot of inner turmoil. Enough for them to want to exit, right? And by that I don't mean to leave, I mean like to break the constriction, or break whatever keeps them in that state of not being comfortable being fully who they are. And that goes for just that. I mean, I think everybody goes through that, just because we form our identities, and that this is how we form our identities in general, from like a young age all the way to our last breath. But it's even truer for someone that feels they have some kind of trait that they don't see everywhere, and so for that reason they feel different, and they don't know how to deal with that, or they don't necessarily always interact like others, and it's not well received sometimes. What's really amazing, the Knight of Pentacles, so they wish to tell you obviously that they are like that. They wish to tell you that that's what they go through. They wish to tell you that they're in the process of, freeing themselves from any shame, any sort of anything that's holding them back from like just fully expressing who they are, their true individuality and personality, and just their soul, right? Just let it all out or let it just shine, right? I feel that you would already have identified them as different for sure. That either you are well or not so well positioned towards them because of that. So I don't know where you're situated like that with them, but it'll either way, you'll have to decide whether you interact with this person, whether you sort of deduce that and you're able to kind of feel it out and kind of know that they're not so comfortable with that, or whether it's a different scenario where you think that they're fully, in French we say assumé. It means fully, you take full ownership of who you are, right? Like completely. But that in fact maybe they're totally torn inside and you just don't know how much there's a struggle. But the beautiful thing about the Knight is that they're going to tell you, if they express that there's a struggle, they're most likely going to tell you about the process that is ongoing for them and how much they're changing, how much they're learning, and how much they're fighting, I guess, fighting themselves, but just like really working really, really hard at freeing themselves. All the mental blockages, emotional, like huge healing, for sure, for sure, for sure. Let's see what else is in their heart. Power. But what's really beautiful is the face is twofold, you see? So this is the inner conflict of, in the case that they're still working out this thing of, I feel different and I feel like I don't belong, or I feel it's difficult to operate knowing that I am this way, for instance. Just to give you an example. So, but it's also showing the strength of this originality, of this particular, the fact that there's something very, very unique about them, that makes them stand out and makes you probably love them for that, definitely. And that I'm sure that they would find people that love them for that as well, right? But it's like everyone in life, it's like not everybody's gonna like you, or so. But it's a little harsher on this, on these kind of people where they're easy targets for other people in general. So let's look at Leo now. Leo, your turn. Okay, so in case you didn't listen to the intro, Leo, I'm doing a confessions video. It's about, what it is that they're not telling you, either purposely or not. So first card out, marriage. So this person has intentions. I'm gonna get another card right away. This one fell, that's cool. Oh, separation. Wow, okay. Let me get the tarot right away. That way we'll get the full picture. Some cards flipped. I saw the King of Swords in the reverse. There were too many that flipped, so I put it back, but It's in line with separation, so let's see what Two of Swords. I'm actually really happy to see that because it's really like the two sides, right? It's almost like being you're indecisive about, okay, should you really pursue the relationship, or should they really, sorry, it's their confession, should they pursue the relationship or should they separate? So they're quite conflicted about that, I feel, and they're not telling you. They're not telling you necessarily. Not to say that you couldn't pick it up. Maybe you feel something, maybe you don't. But that's going to be the case for any sign, for any of the confessions. You know, so it's not really relevant. But we're looking at a confession that you're not supposed to know about, really. At least that hasn't been expressed. So what intrigues me is that it's marriage, right? So what it feels like is there's already a relationship. That's there. And there's two routes. So it's a leveling up or leveling down. But here in the middle is the relationship. So it's interesting because when you really think hard about it, how could you either marry or separate, right? Divorce, like it's really two extremes. So it makes you wonder, like, that relationship, what state is it in? Like, how come there could be such a huge gap between, you know, the choice, right? It's not about just working things out and like staying together and making this, you know, nice and cozy. This is about make or break, basically. So I wonder what it really implies. I don't know. Okay, so I'm trying to think of an example because I think this requires an example in terms of the state of the relationship. For instance, the way I picture it, if you want, is there's truly a connection, but for some reason there's bad communication, or there's a lack of trust, or there's been an issue. You know, there might be a third party, and then there's a choice. Not that there's a choice here between you and this person, but the fact that, you know, they can choose you and marry you, or decide to choose the other person, then it means they separate from you in that sense. So you see, there's like many things that could be ongoing in that relationship that make it not so healthy ultimately, but yet the relationship holds all of the potential of an amazing commitment. So it's an intriguing one, right, where for some reason they're not letting you know. I think that, especially in the scenario of a third party, obviously I'm suspecting they would want to hide the third party. Not to say that it's right to do that, I'm just saying that logically with what I'm saying, that's how I'm seeing it play out. But if it's not a third party, then if it's just the two of you, they're not telling you because they don't want to hurt you, or they don't want to pressure you in either way. So maybe it's a sort of a long way around way to try to get you to just work on the relationship without forcing it on you, that an ultimatum, giving you an ultimatum about it, right? So they're hoping that by yourself, maybe you can actually pick up that, you know, the relationship needs a lot of work, needs a lot of TLC, probably a good sit down, a good conversation, a lot of, you know, apologies, mending, healing by maybe crying and just hugging, or like really a really deep conversation where you can really get to the bottom of this, because we're looking at an ultimatum here. This is not just I didn't like what you said yesterday, and then we'll talk about it 5 minutes and it's done. It's not that kind of thing, right? So we're looking at something more drastic. So let's see what else is in their heart. So they're not telling you because they don't want to worry you, and they're hoping that you're going to make the moves yourself, that you're going to realize by yourself, that you're going to change by yourself. Anyway. Triumph. Okay, well, it bodes well. I mean, it bodes well in the sense that we're not looking at outcomes, right? We're looking at what they're wishing to tell you. So I believe that they're leaning more towards the marriage. They want triumph. They want this to succeed, basically. They don't want the relationship to end, the connection. They see value in it. For them, it's important. You mean something to them. They have a lot of love for you, a lot of respect. It matters, right? And it would make them feel very proud if the relationship would evolve. They would be very, very proud of both you and just the outcome of the relationship. That would make them extremely triumphant, right? They would be really happy with how it turns out. And they would obviously be happier, or the happiest if there could be at least, I'm going to say at least the conversation, and at the best case scenario, the marriage. But you know what I mean. So, because there's many of you here, I'm giving you some leeway here. there's a palette. Anyways, let's do Virgo now. Virgo, your turn. So if you missed the intro, we're doing confessions, but I'm sure you saw the title if you're here. So let's just jump right in. Oh, you get marriage. I just got this card for Leo, like just now. So you might want to hear what I said for them. Obviously, I hope you're going to get different cards here for the tarot and the Doreen Virtue. Yes, trust. And let me get right away the tarot here. That's funny. I think it's happened to me once only to have literally two signs have the same cards like back to back. I think it's happened only once in my whole life. It's really rare. Okay, what is that card? 9 of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so what they wish to tell you is that they have a trust issue with you. I was hoping that when it comes to asking you in marriage, so they see you as their wish fulfillment. They see you as someone that's happy that has like a beautiful, sunny personality, right? That is endearing, that is fun, that is spunky, you know, like they really enjoy that with you. But it makes them wonder, you know, maybe you're too much of a social butterfly. No matter what it is, for some reason, they also are weary of, maybe they perceive you to be a little light in the sense of lighthearted and maybe less committed and less serious, right? So by opposition, if you want. And they might be more serious themselves, and that's why they would perceive you in this way, a little bit like almost foolish or a little bit like wishy-washy kind of thing. But it's a perception, remember. So, but for some reason, it's making them doubt, and it's making them mistrust you, or at least question the trust, or if they can, fully trust you. So they probably trust you, right, to X degree, but then there's like that particular extra mile that is needed when you actually decide to marry. Because now you're committing to a lifelong relationship, and then there are things that you start sharing assets, and you start sharing your life and building something. It's completely different than maybe just completely different. In the eyes of this person, it seems to be different enough. There's enough of a gap between what a relationship is versus a marriage that they would question the trust that they would put in you when it comes to that. They could even question if you're in for the long haul yourself, right? Are you able to partake in this, what I call this circle, right? Are you able to... It's a circle for me because this card is like a man he's at a banquet. So, and the cups, the way they're placed, it looks like it's semicircular behind him, so you can imagine that there's a full circle, round table. It's the imagination that makes me say that, but it's enough to let you know that, you know, that circle means their family, their friends, you know. It's like you're going to be in the inner core of the person's life. So it really matters to them if they can trust you or not. It's vital. So, but they see the potential, and it's really what they want. They want the engagement, like the marriage. Actually, I know that for you guys, engagement and marriage is two different things, so I'm going to make sure to say marriage. This is marriage. But for some reasons, even if they know that you're the one, they still have that sliver of doubt, and they're having a hard time opening that conversation with approaching you about that particular, I guess, thing for them, because it's delicate. If you're gonna tell someone, you know, well, I'm not sure that I can trust you about marrying you, it kind of, first of all, spoils the surprise about, well, is this person actually going to propose? It kind of hints to the fact that they are wanting to propose. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably great news for you, most likely, but I'm just saying that, you know, it's like, yeah, spoiling the surprise by trying to, you know, I'm going to give you my own opinion, so, because I think it matters here. It's like, if I'm putting myself in someone's shoes that's going to ask someone in marriage, right? I should have worked out for myself whether or not I can trust a person enough to want to marry them. I should not have to go to them and ask them if they're trustworthy enough for that to happen. So that's why this conversation cannot happen. So this person is living with this inside of them, wondering if they can trust you, if they can actually open up to you in this way when it comes to asking you in marriage. So let's see what else is in their heart. Spiritual strength, that's amazing. I find that so beautiful because it matches just the last comment I just said about they should work it out for themselves, and they will. They have the spiritual strength to meditate on the subject, find the answer for themselves, and most likely ask you in marriage. So it's really nice. It's really nice. I mean, I don't know the outcome, and this is not about the outcome, right? Remember, this is confessions, so I'm not pronouncing myself on the outcome. I'm just saying that I feel they will have the strength to at least figure out. I mean, it's also a good thing for them and for you, ultimately for both of you, because for instance, if you were to marry and there was mistrust or distrust, what would happen later on, like down the line, you know? So it's probably best to be worked out first, whether it's a yay or nay, right? Anyway, so thank you for being here. Thank you for liking the video, sharing, subscribing. That is so appreciated. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. So good night. I'll see you soon.